refused to attend my best friend's wedding because she's pregnant and getting married to my ex.
There's a lot to unpack.
So 2 major parts of my life converged recently, and I'm just devastated and questioning pretty much all my actions. Hence why I'm posting here, because I may be acting awful to 2 people I love dearly. By the way, this comes from Brokenhearted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. Part 1 is Tammy, my best friend since elementary school. She's literally my sister. We have done pretty much everything together, same college, same dorm, roommates, confidants, sloppy wasted mates, you name it. I love her so much. Part 2 is Gregory, my college boyfriend. I love him as well, but we just could never make things work. Had one of those hot mess relationships, which are a combination of torture and bliss. We have dated off and on since freshman orientation. All of us are 27 now, but usually end up in flames. I always loved him so much that I hoped we'd mature and be able to make things work. He moved to a different city after college, but we stayed in touch, sent flirty texts, and even went on vacation twice. We got along great as long as we both had our own places to retreat to, if that makes sense. All along, we both had dating lives, and to be fair, I never told him about my long-term idea that we'd be together. A year ago, Tammy moved to a city about 30 minutes away from Gregory. She was having a really hard time meeting people, so I told her since she knew Gregory so well, she should call him up and see if he can introduce her to his group of friends. She did, and I knew she was much happier. About 3 months after that, the flirty text from Gregory just stopped out of the blue, which isn't that big of a deal because it's happened before, but looking back, I should have known what was coming. Tammy just came home for the weekend and said she was making a special trip just to see me. Of course, I was super excited to see her. She came over, and she just seemed a little off. First, she told me she was pregnant. After we got past the shock and established she was happy in keeping the baby, I was elated to be an aunt. Then she said there's more, and this is really hard. I about passed away when she said the baby is Gregory's. She apologized and said she was so sorry. They had just hit it off and they didn't mean to do anything to hurt me. And they even tried breaking up for my sake, but they just realized there was too much attraction and they started dating. She hadn't planned on getting pregnant, but now that she is, they're getting married. She said she hoped this didn't hurt me and she always dreamed about me being her maid of honor. And there's no one else she could ever ask. I tried to keep my cool, but I just lost it. I wasn't mad at her, just really, really sad. I told her that I loved her, but I just couldn't be around her right now, and no way I could even go to their wedding, let alone be in the wedding party. She said she was sorry about 1,000,000 times as she was leaving, and she texted me quite a bit wanting to see me before she left town on Sunday. I just couldn't do it. I literally cried all weekend. Here's the thing. If I were nicer in the picture, they make a perfect couple. Perfect. Tammy's brand of fiery is much better match to Gregory's calm nature than mine. They are both gorgeous and smart and great with kids. If 2 people should be hooking up to be great partners and parents, it's those 2. I just can't help being hurt. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be your maid of honor? And there is an edit and an update, but what are your initial thoughts? Because I've got some.
I think for me, I understand why she feels upset.
Yeah.
Like, she introduced these 2 people together. She's incredibly close to them.
Mm-hmm.
She has
residual feelings for
probably
this man.
unresolved stuff for Gregory. Like,
especially because she thought that she was like, I always thought we'd end up together.
Mm-hmm. And like
again.
the flirty texts continuously throughout, like even if they're not like actively dating anymore, there's still some affection on both sides. So I get where she's coming from, but you're not together anymore.
I think I agree with that. And I don't think this will be relationship or friendship ending, like friendship ending on either side.
Like, she recognizes that they're a good couple.
I just think that she needs a minute.
She needs time to process that she's not the one for him.
Yeah.
And that her friend is.
I also think that it's totally fair if she doesn't want to be maid of honor for this wedding. Edit, this blew up like crazy. I had no idea. Thank you. I think pretty much everyone so far thinks at least my initial reaction is okay. The thing that people seem most confused by is the timeline. And honestly, I was wrong in my original post. Tam and I only talked for maybe 10 minutes on Friday evening, so there is a lot I don't know, but I went through my texts and such, and this is the best I can put together. June 2017, Greg took me to Hawaii. That is the last time I saw him. We texted maybe 2-3 times a week. May 2018, Tammy gets her job and moves to the new city. We text or call easily combined 100 times a day or more. Dang. Late July 2018, Tammy confesses that she's really lonely, all her coworkers are older, and she's seriously thinking about quitting and moving back. I tell her she should call Greg. She doesn't have his number, so I give it to her. I still keep getting flirty, but nothing overt from Greg in this time period. August 2018, I start a project at my job, promotions company, setting up for a December event for List celebrity. It's literally make or break for my company and my career. I work 16-hour day minimums and basically go off the grid. Greg still texts occasionally, and I keep missing Tammy's calls. September 2018. Last text from Greg. Like I said, no big deal. I didn't even see this until today, but Tammy texted me, please call me ASAP. We really need to talk about something. This adds a whole new element to the story, but I can't believe I forgot or missed the text. I responded to another text of hers later in the day, kind of witchy. Hey, you know I'm busy. Give me some time to breathe. Ooh, another piece I forgot until I dug in my texts. She may have taken this as a message I wasn't ready. I assume this is when they first hooked up. Oh, okay. So she did try to tell you.
It's not that it's anyone's fault.
Yeah.
But it's really not her quote unquote fault.
Yeah, it's not Tammy's fault. She did try to tell you. She was like, hey, I need to tell you something.
And it's not OP's fault. She was
busy.
She was in like a make or break moment for her career. She's like, I'm working 16-hour days.
Or like, I truly don't have
like
time.
At that point, it's after that, you go home, you eat, you sleep.
Yeah.
You go back to work. You don't have time to really be worrying about anything else, which is fine. It's
just the circumstances happened and you didn't find out because of that.
The cards fell in a very unfortunate way here.
Yeah. September to December, we still miss each other and honestly don't think I talked to her. And looking back, she texted about 5 times to every one of my responses. And if I read it right, she initiated all conversations. I wasn't a very good friend. My event goes off pretty well, and then I immediately leave for an overseas vacation with my family. January. We still didn't talk at all, but I didn't think much of it. Friday the 1st. She drops the news in person. She's been pregnant for about 2 weeks and getting married in April. So that's the timeline. Not sure if it clears anything up, but it looks like Tam may have reached out to me at least once. It seems like she was trying to have that conversation for a really long time. And there is an update. Again, I don't think anyone's the a-hole here. I think it was a lot of, I mean, like maybe you were a little bit the a-hole in how, like, you weren't really there for her even after the job finished.
But she was on vacation.
Exactly. So it's like
it's not even she's not trying to be.
Yeah, I don't think you're necessarily a-hole. Maybe just like somewhat inconsiderate in the friendship.
Yeah, maybe like inconsiderate, maybe a little bit busy, maybe just not the most available at the time.
And even your friend seems to be like Tammy seems to be understanding as well.
Yeah,
like she still wants you to be her maid of honor.
They still like they're still friends. They still like hung out after that independently. Like she thought that she's coming to see me, not to drop this news.
Yeah,
and like you said, she's saying, will you come be my maid of honor? I still care about, in spite of the distance that's happened in the last few months, in spite of I know how like this is going to hurt you, I still care about you enough to want you as this important position in my wedding.
So I do think it is, but I think it's less important for us to know all of this because it's like, I mean, it just tells us like everyone had stuff going on, but I think it's more important that OP knows this because it's like she tried to tell you, you know?
And like OP recognizes it.
Yeah, I think so. That's why I don't think this friendship
And I think she even recognizes that they're an excellent couple.
Yeah. Update. I got so many nice comments on my original and my first ever gold. I figured I owed everyone an update and sort of what I'm thinking now after getting a chance to talk it out with Tammy and see Gregory for the first time in almost 2 years. I took the rest of the week off to have a self-pity party. That wasn't working, so I just decided, screw it. I'm gonna drive 7 hours to see Tammy and just tell her how I was feeling. I texted her on the way and she said she was happy I was coming. I really wanted to address all the very good questions you good people had brought up in my post from Tuesday. So I got there and we basically hugged hello, and I have to admit I was very happy to see her. What was so effing weird is it was obvious Gregory was living in her place now. I don't even know why I hadn't even thought about this, but he's a pretty messy dude, so when I saw cereal bowls on the coffee table and socks on the floor, crap that used to drive me up the wall, I was like, wow, this is real. Thank God Greg wasn't there, and Tammy apologized that she just didn't feel good enough to clean up before she heard I was coming. So our conversation basically centered around what happened and why she never told me. At first, she was kind of talking about it to spare my feelings, and I got sort of frustrated with her. I told her to please just tell me what happened. It turns out they went out as a group right after I gave her Greg's number, and they just had an immediate attraction. For the first few times they hung out, it was all just reminiscing about college days, and they never mentioned the attraction. After about 2 weeks of hanging out, they kissed for the first time, and she was so pissed at herself that she blocked his number and didn't see him for almost a month. Dang. I guess she got lonely again. They ran into each other and they admitted they had real feelings. She said she texted me and told me she wanted to talk about it right after they agreed to start dating. I found this out on my own on Tuesday after going through my texts, but since I was so busy, I wasn't very nice to her. She knew I was busy and really wavered on interrupting the most important time in my professional career versus telling me some very hard to swallow news. She said rightly or wrongly, she decided to tell me in person when she saw me again. Fast forward a little bit, things got so serious they talked about eloping after only 2 months. Dang. And we're pretty much living together. She said they had a wasted New Year's Eve party and just weren't careful. And that's when she assumed she got pregnant. She knew then that it was an in-person conversation she had to have with me. Her first free weekend was last weekend. I basically responded by saying I just didn't know how to feel. In my brain, I knew Gregory and I were not compatible, but my heart always hoped we'd grow up and be able to make it work. And she was my best friend. And I basically hooked them up. I just don't know how to deal with all of this. I know it's over, but even seeing his stuff on her floor was sort of painful. Honestly, that would have been a massive fight between Greg and me. Like I said, Tammy is much more chill. I told her that I would always love her and always be her friend, but an April wedding is probably just too soon to be involved in the wedding party. She said she totally understood. We talked about the elephant in the room for maybe 20 more minutes, but honestly, we were just talking in circles, saying the same thing over and over again. So we just sort of moved on. How she was feeling, how work was going, me apparently wearing some sort of man repellent because I can't even hook up on Tinder, and all the other things friends usually talk about. Tammy is in full-blown morning sickness, so she must have barfed 15 times in the first 2 hours of me being there. That sucks. At first, I just let her do her thing, but then I felt really bad because we've been friends for over 20 years and I wasn't even helping her. So I went in, helped put her hair in a ponytail and rubbed her back. That's when it hit me. I would absolutely regret it and never been able to forgive myself if I weren't there for her wedding, pregnancy, and having a baby, no matter who she was marrying. We went to lunch, and at that point, I told her I was sorry for being selfish and that I would be her maid of honor. Okay.
Surprise,
surprise. Just needed a week. She just needed a minute.
She just needed to actually see her friend and talk to her.
She was like, okay, you guys are getting married. Yeah, literally.
I feel like she was ambushed in the beginning, which is
and
why.
Didn't know it was coming. Needed a minute to sort through feelings.
Right.
Yeah. She said no way was I being selfish, but that she would never have another maid of honor besides me. It's not going to be the easiest thing in my life, but I can't not do it. So we went back to her apartment and Gregory was home. Suddenly I felt like such an idiot because I couldn't possibly be in their wedding, let alone ever be around the two of them together. That was the most awkward hello I've ever had in my life. And thank God he cleaned up because I was just amped up with nerves to scream at him like I would have in the past. We sort of awkwardly sat on the couch, not saying much. But after a few minutes, I just started telling myself again to grow up. Don't let my own feelings get in the way of two people who may really belong together. Seeing them together in person is even more saccharine sweet than I thought possible. They are perfect for each other. Gregory is supportive. I don't know how many times I had to claim best friend privilege when she got sick over loving fiance privilege. And sweet. And she's far more tolerant of him than I could have ever possibly been. It was still hard for the rest of the evening, but I think it will get better with time. I decided again I would be in their wedding. We had dinner, and I got a hotel because even though I'm trying, I'm not ready to sleep in the same house as them. That's fair. Tammy had to work today, so I'm just hanging out before I see her for lunch. Then I'm going to drive back home. We have a long, long way to go, but I'm so glad I came to see her because at the very least, we saw each other, talked it out, and I'm very happy that I'm going to be involved in these major life events with her. Thank you so much for all the input the other day, and thank you for reading all of this. Edit 2. I totally passed out last night, so I didn't get to participate like I would have. I have to jump in and defend Tammy. Maybe no one will see this because it's probably time this fades. Maybe no one will believe me, but for all the criticisms of her, there's a good explanation that can most likely be explained away by me being a bad writer or not wanting this to be a self-absorbed person novel. For example, I saw someone saying Tammy should have called after the first kiss. I've known her for so long to know that she knows I can be very irrational and angry. I alluded to it in the other post, but I had to do a year of anger management therapy because I could be like dynamite when I get pissed. I'm way better now, but she probably has legit PTSD from some of my freakouts. She figured it was a one-time thing, so I poke the bear, if that makes sense. I mean, cutting props to OP for coming so far, because it seems like you handle both of those interactions pretty well after with Tammy.
Yeah, and it's like, with her knowing that and with it being like a one-time
literally
thing,
one kiss.
she cut it off afterwards. She was like,
she blocked him.
She's blocking his number. She's like, I never intend to see him again. And it's only after.
And also OP's in the middle of like a whole work thing too.
Yeah. And it's like, if Cammy had come to her during this work thing and blown this whole big secret wide open that like, if it's crushing OP now, like it was going to be crushing then.
Yeah, totally distracting.
Would she have been able to do her work?
Exactly.
No.
And she would have been more upset and been like, Tammy totally ruined my work thing. Secondly, I can't stress enough how busy I was last fall. Not an exaggeration to say I was working 16 plus hour days with maybe a day off every 20 to 30 days. I was planning a huge event that centered around a truly self-absorbed person, and he would have me on my phone, texting questions and answers all day long. The last thing I wanted to do in my time off was get on my phone. I counted from that period, and I'd say it averages 10 to 1 of Tammy texting me. I assume calls were worse. But in one stretch, I think I counted she texted me 40 times before I texted her back. It's bad timing more than anything, because any one of those may have been when she wanted to tell me. And I definitely appreciate her thoughtfulness in not wanting to spring it on me while I was losing my mind from lack of sleep and work. I agree with her that this was an in-person conversation anyway. But you don't have to be in person to watch full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left of the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I feel like she's wavering a little bit back and forth on her feelings. Like, she's handling this the right way. And she's only being human, really.
Yeah, she's gonna have mixed feelings.
This could have gone a lot worse. She could have been like, I'm blacklisting
never gonna
them
see
for
you guys again.
every single part of my life.
Yeah. No.
But no, she's handling this better than I think most people would. Like,
I agree.
I can see she's not going to be ecstatic about like her perceived soulmate being
with her best friend.
With her best friend and having a kid, like all at once. It's like, okay, that's a lot to take in. Even if you were like super supportive of them, it's like, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, but she's doing a good job.
Yeah, she's doing her best, and she's acknowledging her faults. She's acknowledging that they're good for each other, and she's trying to wish them the best that she can, the best way that she can.
Agreed. I know Tammy is just an internet sprite to all but one of you, but she is a real person who has been my ride or die since we were 10 and 11. We've fought, screwed each other over so many times, and we've always forgiven each other because having her in my life is way more important than pining over a guy I spent most of my time frustrated with anyway. Don't get me wrong, I'm still pining, and I cried last night over this, but like so many people said, maybe Tam Tam's best gift to me as a friend was forcing me to move on from a guy who wasn't right for me. And that is the end of that story, but yeah, I think it probably is going to be helpful for you in the long run, because it seems like you kept coming back to this guy, and now you can move on.
It's finality. That's the gift that she got. That finality that she has to move on.
Yeah.